Davis takes the snap on 3rd and 15. In the pocket. He's going to run to the right. Now he steps up. He's going to get by one man. Now he's heading back. He'll throw it across his body. Intercepted! Davenport wins! Davenport wins! Intercepted! Devin McGee picked it off! Devin McGee picked it off! And Davenport wins it! Devin McGee with the biggest play of his Davenport career! And he saves the bacon! McGee came across and picked it off, and Davenport wins it. 27-24 in overtime, and the Panthers stay perfect in 2022. And with that, we welcome you to the Davenport Coaches Show, live from Uccello's in Caledonia. I'm Rick Berkey, the head coach. Sparky McEwen is here, and everyone's still riding high after that dramatic win up north in Marquette and the Superior Dome, pulling off that overtime victory. And Coach, seeing the jubilation of your players when they, just jumped all over each other out on the field was special after the game for you and the whole staff, I'm sure.
This is the second week in a row now that you've made a call and saved the bacon. Man, I like that. I like that because, I like my bacon for my breakfast. So
I know you do.
He saved the bacon. I love it. Yeah, what a game. What a game. A lot of credit goes to Northern Michigan and the type of ball game that they played. They got down early, and those guys could have very easily packed it in. But they fought back just like we talked about all week in practice that they would. And so we weren't surprised at that. We were disappointed ourselves that we didn't capitalize on some opportunities that we had there. But, to get up the way we did and then Northern to come back and then us fight back and then just to, get it into overtime and win it. And, it was a pleasant ride back, as you can imagine, and I was just really happy for our team and for our university.
Again, a lot of heroics in that. We're going to touch on some of them. You brought one of the heroes with you. We'll hear from him a little bit later on. But to have a really good season, and right now you're having a really good season, Coach, at 5-0, you've got to have guys step up who aren't usually in the spotlight.
Yeah.
Devin McGee had a total limited minutes and 2 tackles, and I hope he has a long and productive Davenport career, but I don't know that he'll have a more dramatic play and more important one play than that one right there.
That play, I couldn't see it. It was on the far side over there, and I thought I was in great position to see it, but just like most head coaches, when something, that big happens, I start looking for flags first, before it settles in for me. But that young man has worked his butt off for us. He's doing great things for us. And we talk about next man up because we lost CJ in that game, our safety, and we lost a number of players in that game. And those other guys that stepped in, just like you're talking about, for those guys that come in that big moment and step in the way that they did, it says a lot about them, and waiting their turn and taking advantage of an opportunity. And, Northern did a great job, man. We were on the ropes. And for that young man to step up that way, and then we had a great pass rush too because they flushed him out, and for him to come through, I'm so happy for Devin.
Speak of stepping up, you've got 3 really good running backs, and you're without 2 of them Saturday in Marquette, without Khalif and Harden, and your guys, Keyshawn Richards steps up after a career-high 147 the week before, a really big 122 and another touchdown on the game. But it wasn't just him. Kyron Cunningham steps in there. This young man, he had 15 total yards before Saturday. He had 45, and every one of them seemed to be big for him.
Big. Speaking of big, he's a big man. He goes in at 6'2", 245 pounds, and 250 pounds. And he's a load. He's a guy that – he's had to wait his turn as well, because we've had, 3 other backs here. They call themselves a stable, and they take pride in that. And those guys are all good friends, and they work hard together. And we had some guys go down. We lost the beef and, Harden dressed, but we found out that, in pregame that he wasn't going to be able to go. So we're struggling, man. We were struggling, and we've asked some people to step up, and they stepped up big. And the cardiac kids, man, they just keep fighting back, and they just keep scrapping. They have this no die attitude, So, a lot of credit has to go to those kids the way that they're playing this year.
All right, we want to get going here quickly. A couple of factors maybe kind of under the radar, not by the coaches. You guys are well aware. You had only 2 penalties Saturday for 15 yards. They had 11 for 95. Those were big factors that you had only two penalties against you.
We talk about it. You and I talked about it after week 1, and we have to work on those type of discipline penalties throughout the week, and our players are starting to understand. And so more so than discipline, I like to call them educated, penalties. Our guys are a little more educated on it now, so it probably falls on my shoulders not educating my guys on things that they should not be doing. So we've done a much better job of conveying that message to our players, and then to go in a big game in that atmosphere and only have 2 penalties. A lot of credit goes to these kids, man. They're being pretty resilient right now, and they need to be, especially with the couple games that we got coming up.
All right, we're going to talk about this week's opponent in our final segment. One other thing, I think that I know that you put a lot of emphasis on this. You were 4 for 4 in the red zone. You got down there and scored every time you got in the red zone. 2 touchdowns, 2 field goals, and that really is big. You get a taste of it. You got to get points out of it.
Yeah, we talk about it quite a bit. In meetings, we talk about it as a staff. As a defense, when they're even down there playing defense, I think it goes back to my old days in the AFL, where it's so important that if you're gonna get down there, man, you gotta get it in the end zone. So our guys are doing a great job with it, and our hopes is that we get touchdowns. If we don't get touchdowns, we got to come away with some points, and getting field goals is the next best thing.
Well, speaking of field goals, one of the heroes, Brandon Gilo from the game on Saturday, he's one of your special guests you brought along today. So we'll take a timeout. We'll come back and visit with Brandon Gilo. Stay with us. You are watching and listening to the Coaches Show, the weekly Davenport Coaches Show from Uccello's in Caledonia. Brandon Gilo, the sophomore out of Leesburg, Florida. Joe Seidel is the long snapper. Kyle Woyan is the holder. 2 seconds on the clock. Final play of regulation. For the tie, the snap, the kick. It's on its way. The kick is good! He made it! And we're going to overtime. Brandon Gilo blasted it through with room to spare. And Davenport ties it on the final play of regulation. 24-24. And with that, we welcome that hero of that moment, Brandon Gilo, the young man from Florida who had that very, very special week. And he was rewarded, appropriately named the GLIAC Special Teams Player of the Week. Brandon, let me join you here again. Now, again, this is your first year with us. You've had some big moments, I'm sure, as a kicker. How many matched that one, though, in your memory as far as your career?
Truthfully, I don't think any moment could really compare to that one. Anytime you get a big kick, going out with your guys, getting a chance to realistically just put it through, take care of the team, there's nothing like it. And especially in a dome when it's so loud and just so erupting, I just couldn't put a finger on it.
Okay, and again, you heard me mention him, and I think the average fan often overlooks the role of your snapper and your holder. Tell us about Joe and Woyan, Kyle, and how you guys work together.
Since the offseason, Joe Seidel, Kyle Wohan, we've all been working together trying to get the chemistry up. I know they're just as detailed as I am when it comes down to the process. Thankfully, I've been able to work with Joe since prior to Davenport. We went to the same JUCO together. So coming in, we've already had a pretty well chemistry together. Kyle Wolhan, just a dog. He fit in just like us. We all get along in those big moments. I know I could trust in them. They could trust in me, and that's really what it came down to.
You mentioned the JUCO, Independence Community College.
Yes, sir.
In Kansas.
Yes, sir.
All right, tell us about your time there and how that prepared you for where you are now.
I think JUCO was a great test. I think personally, as a man of faith, God really put me in a zone of isolation, allowed me to really see who I am and ask myself a bunch of times, is football what I want? And as you can see, answer came out truthfully. It is, and JUCO was just definitely a good trial to see who I am.
How did you get connected with Davenport when you were at Independence? Where was the connection, and what caught your eye as far as thinking I might like to go there for school and for football?
Yeah, so initially I remember Joe had got offered, and he had put a word in to Coach Walker. Coach Walker came down, met with me, came to a few games, liked what he saw. Just right off the bat, we had a great chemistry, me and Coach Walker, so since then I just kind of knew in the back of my mind, I could definitely see myself playing for him. And throughout the recruiting process, he was just very patient with me, very understanding of my situations, and it just led me to coming here.
Let's take you back prior to your Independence days, back to high school in Leesburg, Florida. Not familiar with Leesburg? Tell us about Leesburg, how big a town that is, where is it, and what it was like playing football there.
Okay, so Leesburg is just in Central Florida. Grew up there really my whole life.
Where in Central Florida? I mean, close to what?
Around
Lakeland?
No, around 20 minutes outside of Orlando.
Okay.
So Leesburg, not too big of a town. The high school I went to was the Villages, so that's just right city over. Playing over there, that definitely helped me develop. I didn't start kicking until my senior year. So they were definitely very hesitant, but they started pushing me, developing me, and that just really led to me getting into college.
You didn't start kicking until your senior year of high school.
That's correct.
What in the world, if you weren't kicking, what did your high school staff see that said, this guy can kick? Because if you're not kicking, how do they know that?
So it really just came down to they were looking for a kicker, and this story is told many times. They came to the soccer team. They asked around. A lot of my friends played football, and I didn't know kicking was a position, to be real. And when I went out there, they said, can you kick a football? I said, let's see. Kicked a football, never looked back.
How were you pretty successful on the soccer field?
Yes, sir.
So that year, were you able? Did you play both soccer and then kick on Fridays, or did you devote it all to football?
Oh, I played both all through senior year.
So what was that like? Because that's interesting too, playing two sports in the same season.
I mean, it definitely got a lot at some points. Thankfully, soccer was a winter sport and football was in the fall. So
soccer was winter.
Right. So
okay.
There was that kind of awkward period where I would have to play both, and I would just go from football to soccer practice and then suit up on Fridays for football and then play the games for soccer as well.
Rannon, again, we mentioned named the GLIAC Special Teams Player of the Week. Not only that dramatic kick on the final play of regulation that got us into overtime, you then kicked what turned out to be the winning points when we got that first time down there. I want to tell you this. I said to a number of people, I thought the game-tying kick would have been good from over 50. Was I just caught up in the excitement, or because you really nailed that one?
Oh, I mean, to be honest, the whole day, as an operation, the line, the snap, the hold, we were all really executing to our best. Some of the few PATs were going over the net, hitting the scoreboard behind it. So we just kind of had a good feeling of our range going into the game. Moving into that kick, when we went out there, we were able to execute it. And when I seen that ball just come off the foot, I remember talking to Kyle as soon as we got to the sideline, and we both knew that it was good from a lot farther than what it was.
Well, you're 5 for 5 in field goals this season so far. Again, you got to factor in weather. You didn't have to do that Saturday. What is the range that the coaches are telling you right? They feel comfortable trying. How long a field goal attempt will they do that before they say that's about as far as we want to go with him?
Yeah. So when they have a team with such a good offense and we're working on getting the ball down the field, a lot of times they tell me stay ready around half field. We just try and they've seen my leg in practice. Coach Sparky, I'm sure he has the confidence in me to send me out whenever we need it. Right now, it's not exactly a set area. We have in mind a number, but as of right now, we're real comfortable from pretty deep.
I bet you like kicking indoors. Is that nice?
Yeah, that was my first time kicking in the dome, so it was nice to get used to that.
I saw you in warm-ups, and you were booming them through there in warm-ups. So that's great to know that you don't have to worry about the wind in that. Of course, at home, a little different situation. It's rarely not windy there, right? So
right.
That's been an adjustment for you, hasn't it?
Yeah, going out there with the wind and everything. There's a few details you try and make, but as a kicker, your job is really just to put the ball through the upright. So, before I go out there, just send a prayer to God. I know I'm doing what I'm doing, and just go out and try and worry about as little as possible.
All right, finally, Brandon, business major, what are you thinking about doing after your college days?
So, personally, I would like to get into some type of training companies. Specifically, I would like to train athletes when I get older. I want to have my own company where I can work with people on the mental side as well as the physical side, because I feel like it's a very underdeveloped part of the game that people really need to start taking a priority in.
All right, well, great job. Congrats on being the GLIAC Special Teams Player of the Week, and you provided some great memories already in your brief Davenport career. We look for many more. Brandon Gilo, our place kicker. We'll take a break, come back with offensive coordinator Devin Russell. Stay with us here on the Davenport Coaches Show.
West Michigan homebuyers, if you're considering lenders, please contact Mario Flores at 231-638-0200 at Van Dyke Mortgage on the Lakeshore. It's a wonderful time to be in the market for a mortgage when you choose Van Dyke Mortgage on the Lakeshore. Van Dyke's loan experts know how to help you prepare and help you get approved. Don't wait for the market to be perfect. Start your planning with Mario Flores, branch manager at Van Dyke Mortgage on the Lakeshore.
Mario Flores, NMLS number 135862. Van Dyke Mortgage Corporation, Corp. NMLS number 3035. 231-638-0200. MarioFlores.VanDykeMortgage.com. Van Dyke Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLSConsumerAccess.org.
And we welcome you back to Davenport Coaches Show, live from Uccello's in Caledonia. And we've got offensive coordinator and offensive line coach Devin Russell joining us right now. And Coach, we heard some of the heroics already in this game, but before the game-winning interception, the game-clinching interception, I should say, that we got in overtime, a very big play by your offense took place. And if this hadn't happened, Coach, I don't think the rest would have turned out the same. Let's go back and listen to what happened just prior to the game-clinching interception. Whitaker looks over at him. Whitaker, the snap. He's looking. He fires it over here. It's caught by Sherrod. 25-20. He's knocked down with 8 seconds to go. They stopped the clock with 7. Now they got to get up and spike it. Everybody get inside. They've got time. Don't panic, guys. 7 seconds. They start the clock. Whitaker takes the snap, spikes it with 2 seconds left. And here we go. And that led up, of course, to the game-tying field goal there. Coach Russell joins us right now, and as an offensive coordinator, you had to be especially proud of your guys for not only executing the pass play from Whitaker to Sherrod, but the way they gathered themselves and spiked the ball and stopped the clock.
Yeah, no, it worked out real well. We practice that situation, that 2-minute drive, 3 times a week, really starting back in the spring. And so once you get an opportunity to go out there and do it in a game, it's almost a relief to some of those guys of like, all right, we practice this much, let's see how we do it in the game. And you can't be put in a better situation for a 2-minute drill, all 3 timeouts. You got a great kicker, hey, as soon as we cross the 50-yard line, we're going to have a chance at this thing. So you don't feel like you got to get 60, 70 yards. You just feel like, hey, let's get a couple here, and we started it off with a first down and right out of bounds. And from there, those guys got it rolling. Yeah,
you started the drive on a nice kick return. I think, was it 37 seconds left on that final drive?
Yeah, right around there.
You got 37, you got picked up big plays. The team seemed really well composed in that final drive that got to that field goal. What are the keys to keeping your composure in such a clutch time by your offense?
I just think at that point you just go back to practice, and again, Coach has us do these situations every day, at the end of practice, during camp, back in the spring, and so once you get out there, it's just an opportunity to go do it. You feel like you've done it 100 times at that point.
You came to us from Ohio Northern University, a Division III school where you had a lot of success, offensive coordinator there as well, and offensive line coach. Tell us about your time at Ohio Northern and how that prepared you to come to D2.
Yeah, no, it was great. I went to Ohio Northern as well. I graduated and I bounced around a little bit, and then had an opportunity to get back and was there since 2009, so long enough where I can't do the math. And then I was the coordinator for the last 4 years, and just prepared me for everything. You get used to not just calling the game, but preparation throughout the week, and then it helps in those situations when they come up on Saturday. You can kind of revert back to previous times you've been down that road. So it was a great experience there, and it's helped me every day since I got here as well.
Now, maybe I'm mistaken, but I don't recall a lot of offensive line coaches that are offensive coordinators. But maybe that is more common than I realized.
Yeah,
is it unusual?
It's back and forth a little bit. Sometimes us O-line guys, we just get left in the corner for a while, which is fine as well. But, there was more and more. It's usually O-line or quarterbacks seems to be kind of the thing. But, it's been good.
Speaking of your O-line, you had to be especially proud of them Saturday when 2 of your 3 running backs are down and out. And you got Keyshawn coming up and Kyron Cunningham, who had played minimally this year. And behind that line, there were some holes there for those guys.
Yeah, those guys have been doing a great job of getting ready every week. It's obviously there's a physical aspect of playing offensive line, and those guys have really embraced that. We got some good leadership in that room, and we're still working on some things with just consistency, but I can't be more proud, having a lot of fun with those guys, and they're working hard every day.
Coach Devin Russell, offensive coordinator for this team, joining us here at the Davenport Coaches Show. Coach, I've heard coaches say many times through the years that the offensive line is usually the hardest and group to gel together as a unit, and it takes the longest time of all the position groups. Do you still agree with that?
Yeah, I would agree with that. It's just, there's 5 of us, and you have to be able to communicate quickly and effectively each play. And so I think it does take a little time to get on the same page, and really so much of that's going to come down to the buy-in of the players. And since I got here in March, they've been on board and working together, and they take it very seriously. So it's made it a lot easier for me, that's for sure.
And, with that time as the OC in the offensive line, how do you split it up? Are there times that, your offensive coordinator with the receivers and the quarterbacks and the running backs take your time away from that? Or are you torn sometimes between your 2 duties there?
I think, what's great here is we have a great coaching staff. And so we can really count on our other assistant coaches to kind of manage their position, and then I can check in with them as the day goes. And, we're communicating in a 24-hour day. I feel like probably 18 hours of it, talking about different things. So really just the other coaches are great, and they can handle their positions. And then so in practice, it allows me to really focus on the offensive line. And then we get together after practice and watch the film and talk about things and kind of decide on what the plan is moving forward.
Devin, what sold you on Davenport and working with Sparky? What sold you?
Yeah, the opportunity came up, and, I had an opportunity to talk with Coach Spark a few times and just really liked what he was about, what the program was about, and then got up here, had an opportunity to see the facilities and kind of get a little more in depth as to, what the program was all about, and kind of fell in love with that idea, that vision, and that process, and it's been going great since I got here.
Coach Russell, tell us about your family and how they've had to adjust to not only being Coach's wife and Coach's daughters, but also moving, having to move to another state.
Yeah, so how it goes with coaching is I get the job and I kind of bounce. Came up and posted up over there in Panther Ridge for a few months, and my wife, basically did everything else, packed the house. Kids finished up school. We didn't want to pull them out near the end of their school year, so we moved up here. We actually closed on our house July 29th, and we started camp August 3rd. So not only did I, and she might be watching this right now, but not only did I dodge packing, I also dodged unpacking. So,
well played.
Luckily I'm really good looking, so it works out,
Okay, now let's talk about the offense again, which has been so exciting to watch this year, and the Panther fans are enjoying it, continue to enjoy it, and will as the season goes on. But where does this offense have to get better? A couple areas that you're still not satisfied in.
Yeah, we have a lot of work to do, and it starts with just what I said earlier with the O-line. It's really for the whole unit, just a day-to-day consistency aspect of things, of just making sure we're in the right place mentally every time we show up for whether it's a practice, a meeting, a walkthrough, a weightlifting session. That's an opportunity to get better or to get worse, and we just need to keep working at using those opportunities to get better as individuals and as a group.
All right, Devin Russell, offensive coordinator and offensive line coach with Denver. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you.
Go enjoy some more of that good Uccello's food. We'll take a break. We're going to come back and talk a little about next week's opponent. Wayne State Warriors come to Davenport this Saturday at 12 noon. Let's talk about that in a bit.
Van Dyke Mortgage on the Lakeshore's commitment to finding the right home loan for you is second to none. The experienced licensed team at Van Dyke on the Lakeshore will work hard to give you a smooth and timely mortgage process from application to closing. Mario Flores, branch manager at Van Dyke Mortgage on the Lakeshore, has access to a full range of mortgage products so that you get the right loan with a great rate, the terms you're looking for, and costs to meet your unique needs. Call Mario Flores at 231-638-0200 today and experience the Van Dyke Mortgage difference.
Mario Flores, NMLS 135862, Van Dyke Mortgage Corporation, Corp NMLS 3035, 231-638-0200, marioflores.vandykemortgage.com. Van Dyke Mortgage is an equal housing lender, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
And our final segment of the Davenport Coaches Show from Uccello's in Caledonia, they do such a fantastic job hosting us, taking care of us. Brittany is our hero over there. She always takes special care of our tables, and thanks to Britt for doing that as always. Coach Sparky McEwen joins us back to talk about this week's opponent. Wayne State Warriors come into town, and Davenport just got a sweep of the UP, Northern Michigan and Michigan Tech. And Wayne State on the other side, they dropped two to those two teams, but Sparky, they were right in it. They lost by 7 by a touchdown to Northern Michigan and then by 1 point at Michigan Tech Saturday. It's a good ball club.
Yes, it is. And it's, the captain of that ship is Coach Winters, and he's one of the more respected guys in the country and just does a, tremendous job, has had a tremendous coaching career. And, obviously the highlight of his career is taking that team to, I think it was a 2011 national championship game. So, here's a team that, of course, we can't overlook them because we're picked last in our conference. And
and there's the Panthers at 2-0. The team picked last in the preseason, but so what?
Well, it's the GLIAC. You got to earn it. You
okay.
got to earn it, and I totally understand it. And you're talking about teams like Michigan Tech that just celebrated their 100th season, and Northern Michigan's been at it a long time, and then obviously Wayne State is truly one of the more respected programs in the country. So we know one thing, that they're going to come in here and they've had our number. They've had our number, and our guys understand that you got to be a pro about this. Okay, you can't overlook anything or anybody. Our guys know that we've made a number of mistakes in this past game, and we're finding different ways to win. We don't want to be negative with our kids. But we also have to be honest with them and let them know that when you have an opportunity to go up on a team 3 scores, and we had that opportunity against Northern, and we failed. And then all of a sudden, here comes, Mr. Mo. The momentum, swayed in the favor of, the Wildcats, and they made a quarterback change. And I didn't know going in who they were going to play. I just knew we're going to face both. I didn't know
and you did.
in what order it was going to happen, but we knew it was going to happen. So I thought it was a fabulous coaching job by Kyle, because he brings in a guy that's really fresh, had fresh legs, and we were a little tired, sluggish, and playing in that dome is different. It's different. Devin, our offensive coordinator, will tell you that that was his first time, and he just kept going on and on about how different it was playing in there. So he says it's a true home field advantage, in which it is, especially in the special teams, department. So I thought Kyle, when he brought in, the starter back as the backup, it was really like in the NBA having a great sixth man. He came in and he sparked them, and man, we were on the ropes. And he did a great job. And then our kids obviously did a great job of keeping their composure. And we had all three of our timeouts, and we were able to take it down and kick a field goal as time expired.
And I think, Coach, that you know what to expect this Saturday, Wayne State at 12 noon at home. This team ran for over 400 yards last Saturday at Michigan Tech. Myron Harris, this young guy is just taking off 295 yards, over 8 yards a carry last week.
He's a load. He's actually put on about 15 pounds of muscle. He looks good. They're a young football team, and they have a very bright future. When you see this team come into Farmers, oh my goodness, they look like they can be an NFL team. Wait till you see the size of this football team. And they're young. They're just young. So, Coach Winters knows what he has. He knows that this is one of those teams that, they're going to be able to steal a few games. And then on top of stealing a few games, they're just going to continue to get better and better and better as the season goes on. To put those type of points up the way he did up at Houghton says a lot about that football team.
All right, well, it's 12 noon kickoff. Hopefully we can get the fans out there. Have been good support so far this year. Let's get another one, right?
Tremendous support. And I'm hearing a lot, when we're away, the radio, they say radio was just amazing. So I'm very excited about the direction that things are going for the Panthers.
And we hope you can get out there Saturday. Get out there 12 noon. If you can't, you can join us video and audio along the way. So for Coach Sparky McEwen, assistant coach and offensive coordinator Devin Russell, and Brandon Gilo, our special player guest, this is Rick Berkey saying thanks for joining us. We'll talk to you next week. Go Panthers.